GM, everybody. I am Ellis. I'm the founder of Cracked Labs, and we are proud to be the hosts of the Aptos AI Agent Thunderdome, where we are bringing you a badass, no-holds-barred AI agent sprint. Today, we've got some representation from across the board, from Aptos, from ElizaOS, from Marlin Protocol, and we're going to be going over any questions that might come up, getting to know the teams, talking about different areas that you might be able to grab some additional information. And with that, let's just go ahead and kick it off. And since everybody's got their cameras off, I'm going to turn mine off too, so that you don't have to just stare at me. Today we have, well, why don't we just start with a round of introductions? So let's kick it off with Etzli from the Marlin Protocol. And Austin, if you're on here too, for some reason the names went away, so if you can fix that, that'd be red. Etzli, why don't you give us a quick background on you, and we'll just go around the room and kind of take it from there.
Yeah, thanks, Alice. Thanks for having me here. GM, everyone, I'm Etzli. I lead product at Marlin Protocol. So Marlin provides T as a service. T is a trusted execution environments with everyone building AI agents. Ts are coming out to be the right infrastructure, which ensures data confidentiality as well as provide verifiability through remote attestations. Been in the space for quite some time, built a bunch of products. The focus right now is helping builders and developing tools which are going to enhance the developer experience significantly. So here to talk more about how can we make the experience seamless for you so that you can build some pretty cool products. Thanks.
Awesome. And then with that, Sneha, why don't you say hello?
Hey everyone, it's so good to be here. Okay, so a little quick intro. So I work as a DevRel at Aptos Foundation, and as all of you know, because we are on this AI agent space, we are moving very, very fast into the AI agent space right now. And if you have been up to date with the stuff happening at Aptos, you would have checked out our new global trading engine strategy, where we are focusing a lot on figuring out how we can make the entire execution of DeFi and payments very, very efficient in terms of speed, in terms of cost of execution, in terms of being able to provide a very good user experience when we're talking about things like account abstraction, when we're talking about things like scheduled transactions. And I believe because the direction that we are moving into, a lot of the things that we are doing currently manually, it's all going to be AI, and we're just going to go ahead and manage a lot of these things. But when we are doing that, we have to do it in a very, very secure manner so that autonomous AI agents can take over things. And I think that is exactly what we're trying to power at Aptos. So yeah, that's a quick little intro. Thank you.
Amazing. And Aptos is, again, the key component to the Thunderdome here. So with that, why don't we stick to the Aptos team, and guys just say a quick hi, and then we can move into like the intros and backgrounds and all of that fun stuff. Kevin, you're up.
Jim. Kevin from Aptos Foundation, focusing on developer growth. I think same team with Sneha and Jenny here. I think Sneha covered a lot of those. For people who are not familiar, Aptos is a very performant layer one blockchain powered by the Move programming language. I won't dive into too much details because we'll get to that. But kind of excited, super excited to be here today to launch this. Jenny.
Yeah. Hey guys, this is Jenny, or you can call me Jay. So I'm also a developer relation engineer at Aptos, and I think Aptos is pretty early to this AI narrative. We've been, I think we added the Eliza support since like last year November. So excited to see what people are building here.
Amazing. And talk about an intro. So Nisita, you're up.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Nisita. I'm head of DevRel at Eliza Labs. I'm really thrilled to be here today to talk a little bit more about how we're unlocking the next generation of AI agents. In terms of Eliza Labs, we're building the operating system for autonomous agents. Think of it really as a developer-first framework that empowers builders to create agents that can reason, act, and transact. ElizaOS, we like to think of it as like we want to give tools to builders to build agents that aren't just reactive, but they're really proactive, composable, and completely verifiable. We focus on giving developers a variety of different tools, whether it's working with partners and some of the folks here, to be able to drive really valuable use cases that matter to them. And I'm really excited to dive into ways these agents are already reshaping how we operate, whether it's on a consumer level and or in a more B2B context, and what the future of autonomous coordination might really look like.
Amazing. And last but not least, let's talk to the Allora team. Mike, Jack, say hi.
Hey guys, really appreciate you having us on. I'm Mike. I'm head of go-to-market over here at Allora Labs. Joined the team a little bit over a year ago. Prior to that, I was over at Chainlink Labs for 3 years and led the strategic business development team over there. And to give anyone a brief overview of what we're building over here at Allora Labs, if they're not already familiar, what we're building, you can think of it as a predictive oracle. We frame it as we're building a decentralized collective intelligence network for the financial behavioral applications of AI. But if you're thinking of it, maybe a good mental model would be if you want the price of ETHUSD right now, you'd use something like Chainlink or Pyth. But if you wanted the price of ETHUSD in, say, an hour, a day, a week, you would use Allora network. So hope that gives a little bit of background to the folks that are just tuning in for the first time. And Jack, I'll pass it over to you.
Yep. Great breakdown from the Allora side of things, but I'll keep it quick. I'm Jack, focused on leading BD efforts over here at Allora Labs. Predominantly spending my time working with different DeFi protocols and AI agent builders, understanding how we can unlock new use cases and new DeFi trading strategies with autonomous agents, leveraging our solutions. But all that to say, we're super excited about what's taking place here with the Thunderdome, and really keen on exploring what's possible with Aptos, Eliza, and everybody involved. So thanks again.
Awesome. Well, guys, so what we're going to do for this kickoff is pretty straightforward. We're going to go through a little bit of a background to some of the motivations for putting on the Thunderdome, and talk a little bit more about what each of you supporting partners might be looking for, things that are interesting, cool things to just kind of explore. And we'll go through Q&A from the audience afterwards if there are questions that come up. Cool. So with that, guys, why don't we just kick it off? So like I said, I'm Ellis. I'm the host here for the AI Agent Thunderdome. And just a little bit of background. So first and foremost, the Thunderdome is really a hackathon, or sprint, I should say, that is built specifically for builders and for hackers. But it's also all about kind of imagination, getting behind this AI agent craze and moment in time that's happening right now. So over the next 4 weeks, you're going to be building agents that are going to be able to do DeFi interactions, to act on their own, to reason with data, to interact with smart contracts. So whether it's a DeFi strategist, a trading bot that's the holy grail, or a DAO steward that kind of governs itself, we're excited to see what comes out. So again, you've heard a little bit of background from some of the speakers today, from Aptos, from Allora, from ElizaOS, from Marlin protocol. So what we're going to do is start this off with an icebreaker. And Nasita, this probably sounds familiar, but we're going to ask a similar icebreaker question we've asked in previous sessions. So guys, there's a million different types of agents out there. What type of agent would you be, or your org be, for all the different partners that are here? I know that we had said this before. I'll go first. So cracked, I actually cloned a degenerate shitposting Ronald Reagan bot. Hi, hence the PFP. Let's kick it off with Aptos. Aptos, Kevin, or whomever wants to take it. If you were an AI agent, or your org was an AI agent, what kind of agent would it be?
I'm really bad at this, but I'm guessing we're like super fast.
Super fast. There you go. Fast agent. Jack or Mike, if Allora was an AI agent, what type of agent would it be?
It would be an agent that is capable of doing yield generating financial strategies at an expert or near expert level. We can start diving into some of the use cases further down the line in the call, but things that you can unlock with Allora are things like intelligent DCA strategies, autonomous looping strategies, directional delta neutral trading strategies, market making for prediction markets. Anything that is a yield generating financial use case, the Allora network lends itself very well to help enable that.
Amazing. And well, Nisita, let's ask you again.
Yeah.
Eliza was an AI agent, which technically Eliza is a lot. What type of agent would you be?
Okay, so I'm going to take a bit of a cop-out answer here, so bear with me. An agent that would really allow any user to make it whatever their wildest dreams might be.
Nice. And Ashley, what about you? If Marlin was an agent, what type of agent would Marlin be?
Probably a network orchestrator, maybe. So Marlin provides the secure spaces for other agents to operate in. So that's what we'll do.
Short and sweet. Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, let's kick it off. Let's get a little bit more technical, and let's start it with the main L1 provider here, Aptos. So from the Aptos team, let's just talk a little bit more about Aptos. Let's talk a little bit more about its role, or let's call it ambitions towards the AI agent space, and anything that people could keep in mind while they are building. So first question, what are some of the advantages that devs can expect when they're deploying agent logic on Aptos versus other chains that are out there?
Sorry, I was muted. Oh, sorry. Jenny, you want to add first?
Yeah, I can
ahead.
probably take this one. I think Aptos, for people not familiar with Aptos, you can think of it as another high performance layer 1, and I guess similar to Solana and Sui, but I think the teams here, like the devs here at Aptos, are pretty good, and we constantly improving the chain. Pushing for a higher limit on the TPS and all that stuff. So yeah, I guess so. Speed and cost are like the first two factors here. But apart from that, we also have this Mu programming language that's supposed to help your contract to be safer and prevent you from a lot of the pitfall in EVM or other like virtual machine. And also, I think the dev tooling around Aptos has also improved a lot. So you can build whatever you want and just focus on basically as a app builder or people building AI agent on Aptos, you just focus on the agent or on the app. You don't need to worry about the infra. The infra would just works.
Yeah, I think Jenny covered a couple of good points there. One of the things being agents that do a lot of stuff on chain, right? You think about high performance. I think Jenny touched upon high performance. Just to expand a little bit and put that into context, we're seeing tremendous throughput, more than 300 million transactions per day. We've seen super fast latency on mainnet, base speed sub-second, end-to-end finality, super cost efficient, less than fractional cent for each transfer transactions. And I think those are very, very important components, especially now we're kind of in the second phase of the whole AI agent narrative, where we do see agents do more stuff on chain. I mean, the first batch of AI agents are more, buzz, and a lot of them don't really do much on chain. I guess we can all agree upon that. But now we do see a lot more kind of really, really executing on chain. And I think it's very important because to have a very high performance layer 1 to support that, now you are not you're not limited to the use cases. You kind of unlock a different dimension. You think about being super efficient. You think about DeFi agents that can be ultra aggressive in terms of yield balancing, micro tipping, micro transactions all around, and bring super efficient, unlocking different kind of use cases. So we're kind of super excited to see these things, and hence kind of very excited to work with our friends here to see what people come up with. And we also have Move. I think Jenny talked about that. Maybe Sneha can add a little bit on that. And the tech side of things a little bit more.
Amazing. And I was just going to actually ask some questions specific around Move, and say I appreciate the technical flexibility, let's call it. So sorry about that. But can one or all of you speak to a little bit more on how does Move specifically help here in terms of speed, in terms of safety or programmability?
Yeah, so I would say in terms of Move, there are a couple of different ways I think that we have differentiated a lot in terms of traditional smart contract programming languages like Solidity. One of the main things here is the way that we deal with money. It's not exactly as just numbers, which is the case with other languages. It's more of an asset, which has certain levels of protection inbuilt in terms of like dealing with it, whether it's about deleting an asset or whether it's about copying an asset. So these are things which are not allowed by default. So you cannot exactly write a function and sort of just kind of hack your way through it. It's just not possible at a very granular language level. Along with that, one of the very, very cool features around Move, I think personally, this is one of the best features if I compare this with like other blockchains, is basically the Move prover. What it allows you to do is that whenever you create a function, and especially when we're talking about DeFi, the idea is that whenever you create a function, how can you pass it a range of values, right? Like because anyone who will try to like sort of hack it, they will just try to provide an input for which it will fail or break. But with the Move prover, it's like a mathematical thing which allows you to test it across the range of functions to see whether it's actually giving you the expected output or not, or whether it's behaving the right way or not, which I think is the key whenever we are dealing with smart contracts, and even more so when we are dealing with DeFi smart contracts. So I think, yeah, these are two major points whenever I think we're talking about Move language. Maybe Gianni can add further as well to this.
Yeah, I think Sneha already made a pretty good point that so first of all, like Move is this resource-oriented programming model. That means the asset should be safer. Like you cannot double spend the asset that easily, like in EVM. And also Move has this Move prover and formal verification that can help you make the contract more secure.
Awesome. And well, we talked a little bit about some features that Move will be able to kind of add into the stack of building out these agents that could make it more impactful. Are there any other tools or ecosystem updates that hackers should keep in mind during the sprint coming out of the Aptos side?
Yeah, I would like to take this one. And maybe Gianni and Kevin, you can add further points to this. So one of the like main things right now with Aptos and Move that we are focused on is like doing a lot of AI hackathons. And we have in this process developed our own agent kits, which has actually been developed by our ecosystem projects. One major one that I would like to talk about is the MetaMove AI agent kit. And this is a very special one because it really just allows you to get started into creating very, very high level AI agents. You don't need to sort of work on the integrations with DeFi protocols. So it already offers integrations with major DeFi protocols. I would say like maybe 10 plus DeFi protocols on Aptos. This includes like staking protocols like Amnes. This includes Thala Labs. This includes yield platforms like Joule, all of this different integrations. So what you can do is you can just create an AI agent. You can just use those tooling that is present within it to communicate with these DeFi protocols. You don't need to go and check what's the logic there, what smart contract call I have to make. It's all abstracted away from you. And then your main focus can just be on creating applications which are autonomous in nature, which can basically create amazing strategies. I remember, I think there was this, I think someone from Allora mentioned, right, that it's about creating like smart AI agents who can like, create and optimize strategies on their own. And I think that is the essence here, that we take away all of this work from you. So you can just focus on just focus on like creating things like, let's say we have an AI agent that can go ahead, it can stake some money, it can decide some percentage which should be, let's say, put into some DeFi protocol for lending. It can decide some percentage which can be put into lending, and then some looping strategy on top of that. And then it can give you something along the risk appetite that you have, while making sure that, because I think this is something that all of us are very scared of, that some random amount of money is not kind of just debited from your wallet because the AI agent has access to that. So I think that is one of the really, really cool AI agent kits that we have out there. And maybe Gianni and Kevin can also add a few more tools that we have in our protocol.
Yeah, I think Sneha covered it pretty comprehensively, that we have this agent kit, whether it's MetaMoo, which is an Aptos native agent kit, or like Eliza, to help you build your agent easily. We also have a bunch of like just more traditional dev tooling, like the SDK in most of the common programming languages, like TypeScript, like Rust or Python. We also have the like those end-to-end framework for you to test your contract, and we also have some like a full stack template for you to build your agent.
Awesome. So there is an absolute
Thanks,
ton of
Alice.
resources.
Oh, sorry.
Nope, go ahead, Kevin.
I think just very quickly, I think both of them touch upon a lot of really great tools. I think if you look at the ecosystem as well, I think it's ripe for disruption. I think it's ripe for a lot of really cool stuff we want to see, really cool AI agent use cases. And I think just want to highlight that. For example, we have like basically the top 3 stable coins on Aptos right now, right? And if you think about something like USDC, for example, that has CCTP, could be fun, looking forward to see potential, cross-chain DeFi stuff potentially kind of shine through. And all kinds of use cases. I think right now we have more than $1 billion in the TVL, things picking up across the board. It's kind of really, really interesting time to really see people leverage these momentum and build AI agents that make sense. Yeah, just want to add that. Looking forward to it.
Awesome. So again, ton of resources to start the agent journey, whether it's through the Move agent kits, the Aptos kits, the Eliza framework. There is something for everybody here for sure. So with that, let's shift gears a little bit and let's move over to Allora. So with Allora, we're going to talk a little bit about predictive agents. So Allora gives devs access to predictive signals, which is a massive unlock for agents. Mike, can you walk us through some of the different things that we could expect when dealing with Allora? What is it? How does it work? What types of agents can it help you kind of build? And we'll go from there.
Yeah, for sure. So for anyone that's not familiar, I'll give you a brief overview of the architecture itself. So the way that the network is designed is it's arranged into topics. Those topics can be anything financial in nature. Just the easy one to use, for example, like what's the price of Bitcoin going to be in 10 minutes? That'd be an example of a topic. And then within that topic, you have 2 sets of what we call workers. You have inference workers and you have forecasting workers. The inference workers, those are parties that are running disparate machine learning models that are purpose-built for that defined objective of that topic. So it's not like what you see with probably 95% of CryptoXAI projects that are out there right now, where they're just using some GPT wrapper. We can tell you just from experience ourselves, LLMs, they're very good at things like predicting the next letter in a sentence, but they do very, very poorly at doing any sort of financial modeling or financial forecasting. And it's not like BitTensor where you have 1,000 people all running the exact same model with the exact same weights. The people that are running these inference workers, they can do so on whatever sort of hardware that they like. It can be on bare metal, GCP, AWS, DeepIn. We support open source and closed source models, totally agnostic and modular from both those points of view. All that these inference workers are doing are taking the outputs from their models and then submitting it to the network. So that's the inference worker part. The other side of the equation is the forecasters. The forecasters, they have contextual awareness of what the current market conditions are, as well as the history of which models in that topic performed the best under similar market conditions in the past. And just by the nature of models themselves, Some models are going to perform best in highly volatile markets, some in sideways markets, some in low volume, some in high volume, et cetera. So as forecasters, they know which models perform the best under which market conditions, what are the current market conditions now, and they use that to run a loss function against all the inferences that they receive during that round to basically predict which of those predictions is going to be the most accurate based on their historical accuracy under similar market conditions of the past. So you're taking many different inferences from many different models, all for that same topic, all for the same time period, all for that same time horizon, running this loss function against it. And then the end result is just a single meta inference that you can think of as basically a weighted average of all the inferences that were received during that round. And there's been a lot of academic research that's been coming out the past 18 months from some of the top universities here in the US. For instance, you've had places like Carnegie Mellon, UC Berkeley, Stanford, all published papers saying that the future of AI is likely to be these ensemble networks of more narrowly defined models that are using combination with each other to produce a single result. And that's what we see in our own research and testing as well, where the output of the network consistently outperforms any of the individual models within it. And then as we're talking about use cases, I already mentioned anything that's financial or even behavioral in nature lends itself well. The ones that we've been getting a lot of interest in are things like forecast for price, directionality, volatility, how much liquidity, volume, or fees are going to be within a certain liquidity pool at a point in time, what the APY of some strategy, some LST, some LRT is going to be, or what the interest rate for a specific asset on a lending protocol will be. And then you can use these inferences to make much more dynamic and sophisticated strategies than what you're able to do with just being reactive to spot price or whatever sort of metric that you're adhering to. Really boost the capital efficiencies and it allows you to be a lot more proactive than reactive.
Awesome. And Mike, follow up. So if I'm a hacker and I want to use Allora this week in my project, where do I start?
So a great place to start would be going to docs.allora.network. We have a pretty lengthy documentation page, but in essence, you'd be going to get an API key. And then once you have an API key, you can have access to all the different topics in the Allora network. I would say the ones for this hackathon that are going to be most relevant, we have 5 and an 8-hour price forecast for both BTC and ETH. So with those, you can start building some pretty interesting things. You can build intelligent DCA strategies where you can look into the future and say, the forecast is saying the price is going to move up. So I'm going to buy more than I typically would during this epoch because in the future, the price is going to be as attractive. And conversely, if the price is forecasted to move down, you can buy less than you typically would during that epoch because you think you're going to have a better price at some point into the future. You can also do things like directional or delta neutral trading strategies. You can do even autonomous looping strategies where it'll just set up a loop and then you can automatically increase leverage or decrease leverage based on that forecasted market movement. So that way you're always earning the best and having the best capital efficiency and then de-risking yourself autonomously without having to sit in front of your computer 8 hours a day and having to do that manually yourself.
Awesome. And for those of you that are listening, just remember you have tons of resources on the Hackathon microsite. So there's resource centers for each of the partners. There's quick start guides, there's video walkthroughs, there's tutorials, there's tons of things to get rolling. Cool. So let's move on. Mike, appreciate that. Nasita, moving over to you. So let's talk a little bit about Eliza. So Eliza is all about going beyond just agents as a chatbot. Right? Yeah. We're moving towards fully autonomous agents that can actually take action, intent-based, you name it. So what makes Eliza so different from the typical AI agent integrations or frameworks that are out there right now?
Great question. So there's so many different components. The simplest way I would think of it is it's just been battle tested by so many folks. If you think about when it first sort of, became available, given that it's open source, there's continuous development on an ongoing basis, like literally from a day to day to hour sometimes. Some key things to be mindful of, I'd probably think through is just like the composableness of the agent framework itself. So we provide like a modular architecture where developers can really compose the agent for from reusable components. These agents can really handle tasks like governance participation. It could be even like asset management, or maybe it's protocol interactions, and so much more. There's also a lot of on-chain execution support. We have tons of plugins, across a variety of different platforms. So those integrations really do bring out a lot more functionality beyond just that initial agent component of it. There's also permission capabilities. For example, if you want your agent to operate within a defined set of permissions, like you're able to achieve that, whether it's something like a specific treasury functions, or maybe a DAO proposal, or maybe even like social interactions. You can really make it to be what you want it. And the other thing, maybe we don't talk about it as much, but one of I know that's a pretty favorite for some folks, is just the personality, or like the character element of it. The fact that you can have this agent that has a consistent personality across any and all of your platforms, I think that really drives a lot of interesting use cases and a lot of interesting outcomes.
Love it. Again, I cloned Ronald Reagan. It's probably the only
exactly. You see, and you can do that for your own self, right? Like just take your own Twitter content, and you can pretty much clone yourself.
It would certainly cut down on some of the admin work and shit posting that all of us need to do 24/7. But hey, neither here nor there. Cool. So let's move to a next, and I'd say probably the most relevant question that people in the audience are probably thinking. So what is the fastest way to get started with ElizaOS if I'm building in this sprint with Aptos?
Okay. So I'd say start with the GitHub. There's lots of content there. I'd say just clone it out of box and start tweaking it. Tweaking is something as simple as just having, your choice of LLMs, API key, and other things that you want. But maybe even before you jump to that, what I would actually suggest for folks to think through is, what is the outcome that you really want? Because it's much easier for you to back into, because if you know that you're going to use Eliza, and you're going to use multiple different components to bring it to life, put some additional effort than you already are, perhaps, of what do you want this output to look like? What is this agent really driving in terms of value for you? Because then you can re-engineer it back to figure out which plugins and all the different components, because that's going to be so much easier.
Awesome. Perfect advice. So let's shift gears and let's talk a little bit about Marlin protocol. So you are up. So let's talk about what happens when speed and coordination kind of matter, when agents need to talk to each other, respond to a lot of signals, react sub-second. Marlin's Oyster Stack unlocks a whole big category of new real-time type agents. For the builders that are here today, what kinds of agent behavior or architecture does Marlin make possible?
Yeah, that's a great question, Alice. So what Marlin enables is the whole real-time autonomous agents to be secure and verifiable. That's at the back of bunch of ingredients that we use. So one, the T is itself, right? Trusted execution environments or secure enclaves, where you run your AI agents and be sure that no one is looking into your data, or no one is looking into what kind of actions that the AI agent is taking, but those actions are verifiable through remote attestations. So you can go back and verify that AI agent was supposed to do ABCD, and whether that AI agent is doing ABCD or not, right? So that you get it at the back of remote attestations. And what we have developed is a TLS-based enclave-to-enclave communication, which is nothing but for folks who are on the call who don't know what these are like specialized hardware, wherein the memory is isolated even from the host server, so that any sort of computation that happens in this secure memory, no one can see what exactly is happening. So it's more of like a black box, and it's widely used. Even our mobile devices or our phones have this secure enclaves. That's where sensitive information like your biometrics or Face ID is stored. And that's why we never hear that Face IDs are compromised or such data is being sold in the dark web and stuff, because no one can access this data. Now, coming back to the TLS-based enclave-to-enclave communication, that what enables the agentic communication simpler and without the developers being relying on, say, public key infrastructure. So what will this enable? You can have a reactive agent that will be online and have like persistent connections and can respond to live events. For example, you can have an agent watching prices of certain assets and execute trades rebalancing with like few milliseconds, right? And the second thing is it also enables agent-to-agent communication in a secure manner. So where there are a bunch of agents that are coordinating together, and then you can also verify that these agents are not compromised and they are secure through the remote attestations, and you can share information with them in a secure manner. The third one is the way Marlin is structured. Uh, we are more of a co-processor, so we can have access to both Web 2 as well as Web 3. So you can build a hybrid agent that can pull data from, say, public APIs or APIs that are available in the Web 3 space, process that information confidentially, and then you can take a action on chain. That implies, for example, if there is an agent that is going through Twitter feed or following price action, and then based on, say, certain keywords or certain decisions that are currently being exposed on, say, Farcaster or Twitter, you can make actions on chain in split seconds. So yeah, that's what Marlin enables at a high level. You have this T's as the base framework, then you have attestations to prove that agent is doing what it is supposed to do. Then you have Scallop, which enables secure TLS-based connections from one enclave to another so that AI agents can communicate securely. And finally, you have access to both Web 2 and Web 3 workflows. So all of that brings together the whole package so that the end users can have a streamlined and autonomous agent in real time, as real time as possible. So yeah.
Awesome. And so with the mass data coordination in mind, what types of AI agent instances is Marlin kind of exploring? Have you guys thought about some of the things that you'd like to see built?
Yeah, for sure. I can just doubling down on what I spoke about. Something like a real-time trading signal network would be pretty cool, where there will be agents that subscribe to market data or say Twitter feeds, and they are analyzing that whole information in their own secure enclaves, and then they are passing that information to a coordinator kind of a person or a centralized entity between these agents who can take a decision based on all the information. The best part about this is each independent actions by each of these agents are verifiable, and you can verify them on chain without exposing any of the sensitive data, right? So that will be pretty cool. Or even a reactive automation layer, right, wherein the system will listen for, say, governance proposals or metrics on chain, and then kick off some workflows off chain, do the whole processing off chain, and then you bring the action back to on chain. So that will be pretty cool space to work in. So, yeah.
Amazing. There are tons of different options for people to really dive into and get their teeth into with this hackathon. I'm loving it. So, guys, it looks like we've gone through the supporting partners. We've talked a little bit about each of the different tech stacks. Why don't we talk a little bit about, a bonus round? Let's call it strategy, AI, interop, anything that's kind of catching our attention right now. So this one's just kind of going out to the broad panel here. From your vantage point, and why don't we start with Aptos first, actually. What do you think is the most exciting thing about the AI agent moment that we are in right now in history? Because it is clear that it is historic, to say the least. Where do you think we're headed? What do you think it's going to look like in 12 months, 2 years, 3 years? Would love to know kind of what you guys see as the writing on the wall. Why don't we just take that one at a time?
I think oh, Kevin. Oh, okay. Probably I can take it first. I think right now we hear people talking about how we use how people can use AI agent to facilitate DeFi and help you like make better trading strategy. And I think like I guess from a developer perspective, one interesting thing for me that I hope in a year AI can help me is like it can help me code better. Like right now, like you already see this AI powered code editor like Cursor or Windsurf that help you write part of the code. But I think in the future, AI agent can probably help you like write your whole project. Let's say I'm not a developer, but I have this idea and I just tell it. So then you just build a full stack app for me. And I think Aptos here is a little bit tricky at this stage because Aptos is using its own stack. So and it's using its own programming language, which is Mu. So it's gonna take AI agent a bit longer to know how to write and build in this new stack. But hopefully in a year, then that can happen.
Kevin, did you want to hop in?
Yeah, I think that's just so many exciting things happening around. I think that just taking a step back, just like 6 months, 12 months from now, we'll be looking at agents doing things that we either are not good at or you just don't want to do much of. I think you just mentioned about cloning yourself with Eliza and like things like that, right? And we're really gonna see a lot of those things where it helps us be insanely more efficient and maybe even like good at focus on doing what you're good at, and like you can outsource the rest to a bunch of agents to do that. We're already seeing that, right? I think a lot of us are already using different AI workflows into it. They'll just get increasingly more autonomous. They'll do stuff that for example, for myself, right? I don't trade a lot, but people know me. When I trade, I just lose money. I mean, my track record at PNB trades speaks for itself, right? Like, and imagine if like there's a trading agent that I really believe in and I can kind of trust it with my money to execute according to the boundaries that I set upon. Then yeah, of course, increasingly we'll delegate these tasks to more autonomous agents, and we're really looking forward to see that a lot more. It's just going to accelerate from here. And for Aptos, right, I think one part that kind of resonates a lot with us is that we have a renewed vision of being the global trading engine. That means that a very heavy focus on DeFi. So if like agents can help in that regard a lot. I think Jenny touched upon this a little bit. Like we do see it helping in all areas whether it is with abstracting away the complexities of using DeFi, basically an abstraction layer, or even going a step further, being a lot more autonomous in decision making. Like we have predictive like tools out here, right? From Allora, potentially can do a lot more cool stuff that can do much better than myself. Then would love to see a lot more of those as well. I think we're just looking forward to see what people play with and come up with. I think that's what makes it so exciting, because in 6 months, 12 months, like things are gonna be so vastly improved from now, I'm sure, especially when AI kind of in the mix with making this happen.
It really is absolutely wild how quickly it's compounding in terms of quality, right? At least from the crack side, I mean, we can say first and foremost, the whole thesis of Crack Labs is really that everyone in Web3 really wants to be a founder. I mean, let's face it, I think we can all get behind that. And now what we're seeing is just basically this democratization of ability where people that are not super technical can get, 80% of the way there in some of these cases for projects that are pretty badass. And I don't know, we really think that is an absolute game changer for literally founders and entrepreneurs all over the world, much less the fact that each and every single one of us is about 1,000 times more productive in about 1/10 of the time. So very excited for what's coming up. Nisita, I haven't heard your voice in a while. Why don't you pick this one up and run with it? What do you think we're headed towards with AI in the next, say, 12 months, 24 months, 5 years?
Yeah, honestly, I wish I had a crystal ball because then I would have an answer that I felt very confident about. But I generally do agree with, I think, what's being shared here. So I'll echo the same sentiment of, a lot, like the pace of change will continue to be like shorter and shorter, I think, compared to what we've seen historically, not to get too philosophical. But even just doubling down on what you were just saying, which is, anyone with an idea now have tools that allow them to get to 80% of the way or more in a much shorter time frame. Like on a daily basis, I just see folks that are just like, hey, I have this idea. I just built an MVP that's functioning. It might not be production ready necessarily, but it's functioning for them to actually just be able to test it out. Historically, that would have taken them so much longer. So I can only imagine, as we kind of look out at like 12 to 18 months, that's going to shrink. But I think what's also going to be interesting is execution is going to matter a lot on the other side, which is probably very similar to a lot of hackathons. Like, hackathons, even the way we're now having to judge is probably evolving a little bit, is what I would argue, because it's no longer just, hey, like, am I just doing a code review, or am I just looking at an idea, or, some variation of that, because there are tools that help evolve a lot of these and allow people to iterate a lot faster. So I think a lot's going to change. A lot of people are going to be able to throw a lot more things at the wall and see what sticks. But execution will, in my mind, execution being discipline to continue something, you keep iterating on that, to get it to refinement, is probably will be consistent, is my guess, but we'll see.
Could not agree more with that sentiment, where the bar has kind of been raised, right? Not kind of, the bar has absolutely been raised.
Yeah.
And like just a deck or a kind of, skeleton wireframe MVP might get you there if it's just crazy groundbreaking tech, but now it's really a focus on execution. It better come out polished if we've got the ability to automate a lot of these different pieces of the stack. So yeah, totally agree. Well, guys, we are coming up on the end of our kickoff here. So with that all said, why don't I lob out a couple of questions for all of the sponsors to take whenever you feel like it. And Mike, let's actually just kind of start with you guys, since it's been a minute since we've heard from Allora. What type of final advice do you have for the builders? Is it something technical, something that's more of a mindset tip, a reminder to keep things fun? You tell us, what types of tips or advice you might want to give to builders that are listening today?
Definitely always keep things fun. A good mindset to put yourself in when you're trying to ideate and think of what you actually want to build for this hackathon. Think of what you've seen in DeFi up until this point, different sort of strategies that are being performed either by users manually or any sort of yield protocol, and then start thinking, how could I improve this? How could I make this more capital efficient by using forecast for price or volatility? And I think when you start getting into that mindset, not just the light bulb will go off over your head, but you'll start to have a whole stadium worth of light bulbs go off in terms of, automated liquidity management strategy. Yeah, if it was reactive based on a forecasted price instead of a spot price, that would offer some sort of significant improvement to it. And just the number of use cases out there are, we haven't even started scratching the surface of them yet. We've probably, everyone thinks of an iceberg. We're probably at that point where it's just the snow blowing off the tip of the iceberg. So there's a lot of room to be creative. Definitely put some time to think about what you want to build. It's probably the first time anyone's ever built anything like that. So it's your time to really innovate and be creative. And if you guys have any questions, we have a Telegram group set up. Feel free to jump into the Telegram group, ask whatever questions that you need. Feel free to ping myself, Jack. We also have Robert, Head of Solutions in the group. If we don't get back to you in, say, a few hours, feel free to send us a DM. We'd love to help you out. We'd love to see what you're building and help you along the way.
Awesome. Now, guys, let's lob it out to the rest of the supporting partners. What types of final advice do we have for the builders? Essa, you and I go?
Yeah, sure. I'd say start simple, but think big, because it's pretty easy to get overwhelmed with all the information that has been shared. So I would say pick something super simple, test it out, and then think about how can you make it into a full-fledged product. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but you can bring in familiar tools, maybe some framework like Eliza. You can use Eliza and Marlin together on, say, probably Allora or Aptos, right? So you can use mix and match all the tools that are available and start uh, with something super simple and then build blocks on top of each other. And obviously, you have to be curious about it because as far as you are curious about it, uh, and if you're excited by the problem, it will be more of like a puzzle that you're trying to solve. Otherwise, it will feel like a monotonous activity. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Awesome. And guys, anybody else have some final advice for the builders? I know we're coming up on time here in just a few seconds.
Yeah, I think I just want to echo that. Like, I think when people build for the hackathon, probably wanted to keep things as simple as possible. Like, don't dive into don't make the tech part too complex. Like, think about it as a product instead of some really complex technical stuff, so that you don't end up spending too much time on debugging stuff and just working on the code. And yeah, and also just have fun.
There you go. So ship fast, and ship with a smile on your face.
Just one more, if I could add, Ellis.
Please.
Another thing is, for the hackathon itself, think about how you want to communicate your story, because the better, whoever is judging or reviewing your thing will, if they can understand like what exactly this delivers, because sometimes we think that some things are self-explanatory, and they probably are sometimes, but it's always better to communicate. It's almost better to over communicate, is how I think of it. Simplify and just help explain like why this, and what exactly is this solving for, and who is the user that this benefits. I think that usually helps.
Awesome. Yeah, it is very important to think about what you're building and why you're building it, rather than just kind of throwing something out there that might not actually be that helpful. And again, it's important to not get stuck, I would say, in these types of developer sprints. You can always ideate, you can always refine, but don't try and reinvent the wheel. Just have some fun while you're doing it. Now, guys, just a quick recap, since we're coming up on time. In terms of getting involved with the AI agent Thunderdome and participating, there's a link down on the bottom of the screen where you're able to register. All of the different resources are on the hackathon microsite at that link below, thunderdome.hackerearth.com. Also in the Telegram link. The Telegram link is in the chat. Now, it's going to be a little bit hard to go to that one, but in the chat and on the microsite, you'll find the link to join the private Telegram. The private Telegram has access to all of our partners that are on the call here today, has areas for you to ask technical questions, join teams, find new teammates, explore ideas. Everything is there for the taking. So with that, guys, we have come to our time, and we are ready to get the AI agent Thunderdome rolling. So I'll say thank you again to all of our sponsors. Special thank you to Aptos for putting the event on. We have Google Cloud, who couldn't actually join us today, which is providing data sets for both testnet and mainnet so that your agents can be using some actual data that's verifiable. And again, thanks to Eliza, thanks to Marlin Protocol, thanks to Allora Network. Guys, it's rad having you on. We're excited to see all the cool stuff that comes out. And everybody stay tuned for next week's round of workshops. I believe it kicks off with Allora on the 7th. Thanks again, guys. Everybody have an awesome day. Any questions from the partners while we're here, or any things you'd like to add? Cool. Looks like we're good to go. Well, again, everybody, thank you for joining today. We look forward to seeing you into Thunderdome and seeing some really badass builds. See you soon.
Thanks, all.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
deal. Face the wheel.